Every morning, there is a quiet moment most people waste. A moment where the world is still half asleep, where your phone hasn't started controlling your attention yet, where your thoughts are soft, and your life is still in your hands. And in that moment, something powerful is decided. Not your job, not your money, not your relationship, but your direction. Because how you start your morning is how you live your life. If you start in chaos, you live in chaos. If you start distracted, you remain distracted. If you start with discipline, your entire day bends around you like iron under pressure. Now listen carefully. Most people wake up and immediately surrender. They reach for their phone before they even reach for their purpose. They scroll before they think. They react before they decide. And by the time the world gets to them, their mind is already owned by everyone except themselves. But there is a different kind of person. A disciplined person. A stoic mind. A morning warrior. That person does not wake up and ask, "What does the world want from me today?" They ask, "What version of myself do I choose today?" And that is what this message is about. Not motivation that disappears in 5 minutes, but discipline that builds a life that cannot be shaken. Before we go deeper, if you are someone who wants to develop mental strength, emotional control, discipline, and a stoic mindset that keeps you focused no matter what life throws at you, then subscribe to this channel right now. Because every single day, we are building something rare. A mind that cannot be easily broken. Now let's continue. There is a truth most people don't want to hear. Your life is not controlled by your dreams. It is controlled by your habits. And your habits are born in the morning. The first hour of your day is the steering wheel of your entire life. If you waste it, you drift. If you control it, you lead. Stoicism teaches a simple idea. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. And the first response you give is your morning. So let's talk about disciplined morning stoicism in a real way. Not theory. Not motivation. But something you can actually live. When a stoic wakes up, they do not rush. They observe. They become aware. Before the noise of the world enters their mind, they take ownership of it. Because the Stoics understood something most modern people forget. If you do not control your mind in the morning, the world will control it for you all day. So imagine this. You wake up. No phone. No scrolling. No chaos. Just silence. And in that silence, you ask yourself a powerful question. What kind of person do I need to be today, even if everything goes wrong? Not what will I do? Not what will I get? But who will I be? Because life will test you. People will frustrate you. Plans will fail. Delays will happen. Emotions will rise. But your identity, that is what holds you steady. A disciplined morning is not about perfection. It is about direction. Now listen closely. The enemy of discipline is not laziness. It is comfort. Comfort tells you, just stay in bed a little longer. Just check your phone quickly. You deserve a break before the day starts. And slowly, without you noticing, comfort becomes control. But Stoicism teaches something different. It teaches voluntary discomfort. Not suffering for no reason, but choosing strength before life forces weakness on you. So in the morning, a disciplined mind does things differently. They get up even when they don't feel like it. They move even when their body resists. They act even when motivation is missing. Because they understand a simple truth. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is identity. You don't wait to feel disciplined. You become disciplined by acting. Let's go deeper. The Stoics like Marcus Aurelius didn't wake up asking for an easy day. They woke up preparing for a difficult one. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Now think about that in the morning. Before emails. Before stress. Before people. You remind yourself, I will face today with clarity. I will not waste my energy on what I cannot control. That alone can change your entire life. Because most people lose their peace before 9 a.m. They react to messages. They compare their life online. They think about problems that haven't even happened yet. And by midday, they are already mentally exhausted. But a Stoic morning is different. It is calm. It is intentional. It is controlled. Now let's build your disciplined morning step by step in mindset form. When you wake up, the first battle is not outside. It is inside your head. Your mind will try to negotiate. It will say, 5 more minutes. You can start later. Today is not that serious. But discipline answers differently. Discipline says, now. Not later. Not soon. Now. Because every delay weakens your control over yourself. And self-control is the foundation of everything. Wealth without self-control collapses. Success without discipline disappears. Confidence without structure breaks easily. But a disciplined mind, that mind becomes unshakable. Let's talk about silence. Stoics valued silence deeply. Not just external silence, but internal silence. Because a noisy mind is a weak mind. And mornings are where you train that silence. Instead of rushing into noise, you sit with yourself. You breathe. You think. You observe your thoughts without obeying them. Because not every thought deserves action. Not every feeling deserves attention. A disciplined morning teaches you this. You are not your emotions. You are the one who observes them. And that changes everything. Now I want you to picture this lifestyle. You wake up early. You don't grab your phone. You don't scroll through other people's lives. You don't compare. You don't react. Instead, you stand up slowly. You stretch. You breathe deeply. And for a few minutes, you simply exist in control. Then you set your intention. Today, I will act with discipline even when I don't feel like it. That is Stoicism in action. Not complicated philosophy, but simple control over your own behavior. Let's be honest. Most people don't fail because they lack intelligence. They fail because they lack consistency. And consistency is built in the morning. A single disciplined morning repeated daily becomes a disciplined life. And a disciplined life becomes freedom. Freedom from regret. Freedom from chaos. Freedom from emotional instability. Because when you control yourself, nothing outside can easily control you. Now let's go deeper into emotional control. In the morning, your emotions are fragile. That is why most people make bad decisions early in the day. They react quickly. They feel tired. They feel overwhelmed before anything even happens. But Stoicism teaches you. Do not trust your emotions immediately after waking. Instead, observe them like clouds passing in the sky. You don't fight them. You don't obey them. You simply watch. And then you choose. That space between emotion and action, that is your power. Most people don't have that space. They react instantly. But a disciplined mind builds space. And in that space, you find freedom. Let's talk about purpose. Every morning, ask yourself one question. What is the one thing I will not compromise today? Not 10 things. Not a long list. 1. Maybe it is discipline. Maybe it is focus. Maybe it is patience. Maybe it is self-respect. But choose one anchor. Because without an anchor, the mind drifts. And drifting is how people lose years of their life without realizing it. Now listen carefully. Your future is not created in big moments. It is created in small morning decisions. Getting up when you don't feel like it. Avoiding distractions. Choosing focus over comfort. Choosing action over delay. These small wins stack. And over time, they become identity. You stop trying to be disciplined. You simply are disciplined. There is something powerful about early discipline. It builds respect for yourself. Because deep down, you know something most people avoid. You can trust yourself. And that trust is rare. Many people cannot trust themselves to stick to their own decisions. They promise change. They break it. They start again. They quit again. But a Stoic morning breaks that cycle. Because every morning you keep a promise to yourself. Even a small one. And that builds inner strength. Now imagine your day after a disciplined morning. You are calmer. You are more focused. You are less reactive. You are harder to disturb. Not because life changed, but because you changed how you started it. That is the hidden power of mornings. They set the tone of your identity. Let's end with something you must remember. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you are telling yourself, I am worth the effort. And over time, that message changes everything. Your confidence. Your focus. Your direction. Your life. So tomorrow morning, do not negotiate with weakness. Do not delay your strength. Do not surrender your first hour. Instead, take control. Be still. Be aware. Be disciplined. Be stoic. And if this message speaks to you, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Because here, we are not just talking about motivation. We are building minds that cannot be easily broken. And every morning is another chance to become that person. Now I want you to go deeper with me. Because discipline is not only about what you do in the morning. It is about what you refuse to become during the day. A disciplined Stoic does not only control how they start their day. They control how they respond when the day starts testing them. And life will always test you. Not sometimes. Not occasionally. Every single day. You will be tested through frustration. You will be tested through delays. You will be tested through people who misunderstand you. You will be tested through situations that are unfair. And in those moments, your morning discipline becomes your shield. Because what you built in silence is what protects you in chaos. A weak morning creates a reactive day. A strong morning creates a controlled mind. And a controlled mind is dangerous in the best way. Not aggressive. Not emotional. Not unstable. But calm under pressure. Focused under stress. Still under noise. That is Stoic strength. Now listen carefully. One of the biggest enemies of discipline is emotional attachment to outcomes. Most people wake up already thinking, did I succeed yet? Am I ahead of others? Why is my life not changing fast enough? And that thinking destroys presence. Because you cannot control the entire future in one morning. But you can control your actions in this moment. Stoicism brings you back here. Back to now. Back to control. Marcus Aurelius wrote something powerful in his reflections. The present moment is all you ever have. Think about that. Not yesterday. Not tomorrow. Only now. And yet most people waste now worrying about both. So a disciplined morning Stoic trains one thing. Attention. Where your attention goes, your life follows. If your attention is scattered, your life becomes scattered. If your attention is controlled, your life becomes structured. That is why your morning must be protected. Because attention is your most valuable currency. Not money. Not time. Attention. Now let's talk about something uncomfortable. Discipline will expose you. It will show you who you really are without excuses. When you try to wake up early, you will see your resistance. When you try to focus, you will see your distraction. When you try to stay consistent, you will see your inconsistency. And many people run away from that truth. But Stoicism says, do not run from it. Study it. Because what you see is what you can fix. Every morning becomes a mirror. And in that mirror, you meet two versions of yourself. The weak version says, not today. I'll start tomorrow. This is too hard. The disciplined version says, I will do it anyway. I do not negotiate with excuses. I act regardless of how I feel. And every morning you choose which one you become. Now let's build something powerful in your mindset. Imagine discipline as a muscle. Not physical. Mental. Every time you wake up and choose discipline, that muscle grows. Every time you ignore it, it weakens. So the real question is not, am I motivated? The real question is, what am I training every morning? Because you are always training something. Either discipline, or excuses. Now I want you to understand something deeper. Stoicism is not about suppressing life. It is about mastering response to life. You still feel pain. You still feel stress. You still feel pressure. But you do not let those feelings decide your behavior. That is power. Because most people confuse feeling with action. They feel tired, they stop. They feel unmotivated, they quit. They feel overwhelmed, they escape. But a Stoic separates feeling from action. I feel this, but I will still do what is right. Now let's bring this back to your morning again. When you wake up, you are at your most suggestible state. Your mind is soft. Your identity is flexible. This is why habits formed in the morning are so powerful. Because they shape your entire psychological tone. So instead of letting the world enter first, you enter first. With intention. With control. With discipline. Let's talk about something most people never realize. The difference between successful people and struggling people is not talent. It is tolerance for discomfort in the morning. Successful people tolerate early discomfort. Waking up early. Facing silence. Doing hard tasks first. Ignoring distractions. While others avoid discomfort. Snooze. Scroll. Delay. Escape. And that small difference compounds into completely different lives. Now listen closely. There is a version of you that already exists. A disciplined version. A focused version. A calm version. But that version does not appear randomly. It is built. Morning by morning. Decision by decision. Choice by choice. And every time you choose discipline in the morning, you are telling the universe something. I am becoming stronger than my excuses. Not louder. Not faster. Stronger. Let's go deeper into mental clarity. A chaotic morning creates a chaotic mind. That is why Stoics valued simplicity. They did not overload their mornings with noise. They avoided unnecessary stimulation. Because clarity is built in emptiness, not noise. So when you start your day calmly, your mind becomes sharper. You think better. You react less. You decide better. And that alone changes your entire life trajectory. Now let's talk about identity again. Because this is the real core. You do not rise to your goals. You fall to your identity. So if your identity is weak in the morning, your entire day weakens. But if your identity is strong in the morning, everything aligns. So ask yourself, who am I becoming every morning? Not who you want to be. Who you are practicing to become. A Stoic does not chase motivation. A Stoic builds consistency. Because motivation fades. But identity stays. And identity is built in repetition. Now I want to leave you with something powerful. You do not need a perfect morning. You need a controlled one. Even if it is simple. Wake up. Stay still for a moment. Control your first action. Avoid distraction. Choose one disciplined task. That alone is enough to shift your life over time. Because greatness is not loud. It is consistent. It is quiet repetition. It is unseen discipline. It is daily decisions no one claps for. But results everyone notices later. So tomorrow morning, do not rush into noise. Do not surrender your attention. Do not give your mind away for free. Take it back. Slowly. Calmly. Intentionally. And build yourself again. And if you are serious about becoming mentally stronger, more disciplined, and stoic in how you think and act every day, then stay connected to this channel and subscribe. Because this is not just content. This is mental training. And every day, we are building a stronger version of you. Your morning is your foundation. Your discipline is your power. And your mind is your battlefield. Master the morning, and you start mastering everything. There is something most people never realize about discipline. It is not built in moments of motivation. It is built in moments of resistance. When your body says, rest, but you move anyway. When your mind says, later, but you act now. When your emotions say, quit, but you continue. That is where discipline is formed. Not in comfort. Not in ease. But in resistance. And your morning is the first battlefield of resistance. Because before the world even touches you, your mind will challenge you. It will offer you shortcuts. It will offer you excuses. It will offer you delay disguised as comfort. And if you obey it every morning, you are training weakness. But if you resist it every morning, you are training strength. Now listen carefully. A Stoic does not wait for perfect conditions. They understand something powerful. Perfect conditions do not exist. There will always be something. You feel tired. You feel distracted. You feel unready. You feel uncertain. But discipline says, I act anyway. Not because you feel ready, but because you decided. And this is where your power begins. The moment you stop asking your feelings for permission. Most people live like this. I will start when I feel like it. But Stoics live differently. I will act, and the feeling will follow. And that small shift changes everything. Now I want you to imagine your future self. Not the version of you that struggles, but the version that is calm under pressure. Focused in chaos. Disciplined even when no one is watching. That version of you is not far away. It is being built right now, in your mornings. Every time you wake up and choose discipline, you are sending signals to your identity. You are telling yourself, this is who I am becoming. An identity does not change through one big decision. It changes through repeated small decisions. Let's go deeper into Stoic thinking. The Stoics believe something very important. You are not disturbed by events. You are disturbed by your interpretation of events. Think about that. Two people can experience the same morning. One becomes frustrated. One remains calm. The difference is not the situation. It is the mind. So your morning discipline is not just physical. It is mental training. You are training how you interpret life. You are training how you respond to pressure. You are training how you stay calm when things are not perfect. Now let's talk about emotional control again. Because this is where many people lose themselves. In the morning, emotions are unstable. And unstable emotions make poor decisions. So a Stoic does not let emotion lead. They let principle lead. Ask yourself every morning, what is the right thing to do today, regardless of how I feel? That question alone can rewire your life. Now let's go deeper into silence. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is control. Because in silence, you hear your thoughts clearly. And when you hear your thoughts clearly, you can choose which ones to follow. Most people avoid silence because they are afraid of what they will hear inside their own mind. But a disciplined person does not avoid it. They use it. So in your morning, even a few minutes of silence is powerful. No noise. No distraction. No input. Just awareness. Because in that space, you regain control of your mind before the world tries to take it. Now listen closely. Your biggest enemy is not the world. It is automatic behavior. Waking up and immediately doing what you always do without thinking. Scrolling without thinking. Reacting without thinking. Delaying without thinking. That is unconscious living. But Stoicism is conscious living. It is awareness before action. Choice before habit. And this is why mornings matter so much. Because they are the easiest place to regain awareness. Before the world influences you too much. Before responsibilities pile up. Before distractions multiply. You still have control. Now let's bring this together. A disciplined Stoic morning is built on three things. Awareness. Control. Intention. Awareness of your thoughts. Control over your actions. Intention in your direction. When these three align, your entire day changes. Now imagine living like this every day. Not perfect, but intentional. Not emotional, but controlled. Not reactive, but deliberate. Over time, your life becomes stable. Not because life stops being chaotic, but because you stop being controlled by chaos. And this is the real power of Stoicism. It does not remove challenges. It makes you stronger than them. It does not remove pressure. It builds your ability to hold pressure. It does not remove emotions. It teaches you mastery over them. Now I want you to understand something very important. You are always practicing something. If you are not practicing discipline, you are practicing delay. If you are not practicing focus, you are practicing distraction. If you are not practicing control, you are practicing reaction. There is no neutral state. You are always training your identity. So your morning is not just a routine. It is a decision point. A fork in your life every single day. One path leads to discipline. The other leads to drift. And the difference is decided in silence, before the world wakes up. Now let's end this deeper part with truth. You do not need a perfect life to build discipline. You need repeated effort in imperfect conditions. That is how strong people are built. Not in theory, but in practice. Not once, but daily. So tomorrow morning, do not negotiate with your mind. Do not surrender your first hour. Do not rush into noise. Instead, stand still in control. Choose discipline before distraction. Choose awareness before reaction. Choose stoicism before chaos. And if you are serious about building a strong mind, a disciplined life, and a stoic way of thinking every single day, then subscribe to this channel. Because here, we are not chasing motivation. We are building mental strength that lasts. And remember this. Your mornings decide your mindset. Your mindset decides your actions. Your actions decide your life. So master your morning. And you begin mastering everything. Good, because this is where most people quit mentally, even if they keep listening. Now let's strip this down to something even more real. Discipline is not a personality trait. It is a series of decisions made before excuses can speak. And your morning is the first place those decisions are tested. Not in big dramatic moments, but in small, silent choices. Do you get up, or do you stay? Do you focus, or do you escape? Do you control your attention, or give it away? That is where life is decided. Now listen carefully. Most people think change is about doing more. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Change is about doing less of what weakens you. Less distraction. Less reaction. Less emotional impulsiveness. Less mindless consumption. Because every unnecessary action drains discipline. And discipline is energy. So a stoic morning is not crowded. It is clean. Not rushed. It is intentional. You don't wake up and attack 10 things. You wake up and anchor yourself. Because if you are not anchored, everything pulls you. Now I want you to imagine something. You wake up tomorrow morning, and for the first time, you do not reach for your phone immediately. There is no scrolling. No noise. No comparison. Just you and your mind. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Because silence exposes what distraction hides. But if you stay there long enough, something changes. You begin to feel control again. Not outside control. Inner control. And that is what most people are missing. They are not weak because life is hard. They are weak because their attention is scattered before life even begins. A scattered mind cannot build anything stable. But a focused mind can rebuild everything. Now let's go deeper into Stoic discipline. The Stoics trained one simple principle. Do not complain about what you did not prepare for. So every morning becomes preparation. Preparation for frustration. Preparation for delays. Preparation for uncertainty. Preparation for emotional triggers. Not fearfully, but calmly. Because when you are prepared internally, nothing surprises you externally. Now ask yourself honestly. How many mornings have you started unprepared for your own life? Rushing. Scrolling. Reacting. Avoiding silence. And then wondering why your day feels unstable. The truth is simple. Unstable mornings create unstable minds. So discipline is not punishment. It is preparation. You are not denying yourself comfort. You are building stability. And stability is what allows success to last. Now let's talk about emotional strength. Because this is where Stoicism becomes powerful in real life. A disciplined morning teaches you one thing. You do not need to act on everything you feel. Feelings are temporary. But actions create consequences. So the Stoic asks, is this feeling worth acting on? Most of the time, it is not. And that small pause between feeling and action is where power lives. Because most people do not pause. They react instantly. And reaction without reflection is where regret is born. Now let's go deeper into identity again. Every morning you are reinforcing one of two identities. The disciplined self. Or the distracted self. There is no neutral ground. Even doing nothing is a choice. Even delaying is training something. So ask yourself, what am I reinforcing every morning? Now imagine this over time. One version of you wakes up and stays consistent. Another version of you wakes up and negotiates every day. After 1 month, the gap is small. After 1 year, the gap is visible. After 5 years, the gap becomes your entire life. And this is why Stoics respect time. Because time does not reward intention. It rewards repetition. Now let's bring attention back to your morning again. A disciplined Stoic morning looks simple. You wake up. You resist immediate distraction. You stay aware. You choose one direction for your mind. You begin with intention, not reaction. That is it. Not complicated. But powerful when repeated. Now I want you to understand something deeper about resistance. The resistance you feel in the morning is not your enemy. It is your training partner. It shows you where you are weak. It shows you what you avoid. It shows you what controls you. And instead of escaping it, you face it. Because what you face, you weaken. And what you avoid controls you. Now listen closely. Discipline does not mean you never feel lazy. It means you do not obey laziness. Discipline does not mean you never feel tired. It means you act even while tired. Discipline does not mean you are always motivated. It means motivation is not required. That is Stoicism in action. Not emotional dependence, but mental independence. Now let's go even deeper into awareness. When you wake up, there is a short window where your mind is still forming direction. That window is powerful. Because once you give your attention away, it becomes harder to reclaim. So the Stoic protects that window. Not perfectly, but intentionally. And every morning you protect that window, you are doing something rare. You are choosing yourself before the world chooses for you. Now I want you to picture a stronger version of yourself. Not perfect, but calm. Not loud, but focused. Not reactive, but steady. That version is not far. It is built through mornings like this. Because discipline is not built in motivation. It is built in repetition without applause. No one claps when you wake up early. No one celebrates when you avoid distraction. No one sees the internal battle you win in silence. But your life sees it. Now let's finish this section with truth. If your mornings are weak, your life will always feel slightly out of control. But if your mornings are disciplined, even chaos becomes manageable. Not because chaos disappears, but because you become stable inside it. So tomorrow morning, do not rush. Do not react. Do not surrender your attention. Stand up slowly. Be aware. Choose discipline over distraction. Choose presence over noise. Choose Stoicism over impulse. And if you are serious about building a strong, disciplined, Stoic mind that does not break under pressure, then subscribe to this channel. Because here, we are not just watching motivation. We are building mental control that changes how you live every day. And remember this deeply. Your morning is your foundation. Your discipline is your strength. Your attention is your life. Guard it, and everything changes.